So we've been talking about data mapping. We talked about data mapping in general. We talked about data mapping in AI systems. Now let's talk about automation of data mapping when it comes to AI system. What are the benefits, and do we need to collaborate, or is it that just the privacy and compliance team can handle everything on their own? Welcome to my YouTube channel where you daily see new content on privacy. And as I said, let's talk about data mapping with respect to AI systems. What are the tools, etc. So data mapping is a simple exercise that helps us identify what data are we collecting, how are we categorizing them into different types of data, and how are we tracking them, how are we tracking the flow of the data in the entire organization. It also helps us in documenting where the data is coming from, how is it getting processed, combined, and transformed, right? And it also helps us to drive automated decisions. How can a decision be automated when it comes to data mapping? Fine. Now, automated decision making, artificial intelligence, only to processing multiple sources, so they do get combined and they get transformed into a new kind of data set so that better inference can be taken out of it. In respect of data mapping in automated system, there are a lot of tools available, but automation matters because the flow of data could change very frequently, especially if it's a large enterprise. There are many sources of data collection, then the flows could change very, very dynamically. And then manual mapping does not help. Manual mapping is something that you can do for a given period of time or within a given period of time. If you get into the situation of doing manual mapping every time there's a change, then perhaps you need a mapping team. So automating as much as possible helps in this case, and the automation tools do have the capability of scanning and detecting any new change that happens in the system. The tools and technologies include broadly categorized into various options. I don't get into the exact product names. You have data discovery and classification tools, you have AI model documentation tools, and you also have data lineage and metadata management platforms available for you. So what are the benefits of automation? We always talk about it, right? So if you are doing manually, then you are prone to making errors. You are prone to change the entire manual map every time there's a change, whereas if you do it automatically, there's a real-time visibility into data flows. It reduces errors from manual tracking. It's easier to create data flows. The updates are very, very dynamic. It happens, right? It would mostly get updated on its own. And therefore, it is faster to generate the documentation required for meeting compliance requirements. Risk identification. Can it come from mapping? Yes, we've spoken a lot about the fact that if you do proper mapping, it's easier to identify your risk. If you do it automatic way, then the automation also helps you identify any risk in the system. Then we talk about who is doing data mapping. Is it a privacy job? Actually, most of the people would say mapping is privacy job because we have started talking about mapping after the privacy things have come in. But mapping is not just a privacy job, right? There are many stakeholders. Data science teams are there and they handle a lot of variety of data, so they have to be there. Privacy and compliance teams, of course, they are the major you can say role bearers or contributors. There are legal teams in your organization and there are business teams in the organization. They also need to understand what data they have and what personal data they have. A recommended workflow could perhaps say that you collaborate, you do a joint workshop. Do a joint workshop to understand the purpose of why you are doing data mapping. What is the criticality? How would it benefit the organization, right? You do risk identification through this data mapping, and then you do regular reviews on your data mapping and data inventory, right? The updates should come in very, very regularly so that you don't get into issues with the mappings, right? An old, not updated mapping, and you get into some other issues with it. So effective data mapping is not a privacy team activity only. It's a group activity, right? So you need to consider that the data mapping has to be done in collaboration with all the teams. Everyone has to understand the purpose. Everyone has to define their own needs and purpose also. So that's about automated data mapping. I hope you like the content of my video. Please press the bell and the like icon. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and share your feedback in the comment section. Thank you.